What's up residents, Alistair here, and welcome back to DangerVille. Today we're going to be going over Kong's brand new, deadly weapon, which could turn the tide in his battle against Godzilla. But how did he get this weapon? And how might this weapon perform? Well, we're going to discuss all these theories here in just a moment. But first, remember to follow us on Twitter at DangerVille Team, so you don't miss out on all the Godzilla news before we even make a video about it. Right, now, let's get to it. Welcome back. So, I'm going to issue a warning for light spoilers to those that don't wish to have even the slightest bit of information revealed to them, though we'll try our best to avoid any major spoilers. So, here's your warning. Right, let's discuss that axe. Described as his battle axe, this weapon was revealed following the release of Playmate's new Godzilla vs. Kong figure, which shows him brandishing the weapon in his right hand, confirming yes, Kong is a righty. But let's take a closer look at his weapon. What's it made of? Where did he get it from? As far as I know, 200-foot axes don't just grow naturally. Well, as you can see, this axe doesn't appear to be made of rock. Instead, it appears to be made of a type of blue crystal. Though, what if I was to tell you that isn't a crystal at all? As many of you have pointed out in the last video discussing the figures, this looks an awful lot like Godzilla's dorsal plate. Now, there's a few explanations as to how he could get his hands on this, so let's get into it. The first method in which he could have found a way to get his hands on Godzilla's dorsal plate is that he snaps it off during their first battle. Now, Kong would most likely lose this battle, considering he believes he needs to make a weapon in order to properly defend himself, but this doesn't mean Godzilla won't take any damage. Their fight will most likely be animalistic and brutal, and will lead to scarring and battle damage, similar to what's seen in the figures. It's going to be unlike anything Godzilla fans have seen in terms of raw combat. And considering Kong's extensive grip, it only makes sense he's able to break off a piece of Godzilla's spine. So Kong, leaving the fight, will most likely have a piece of Godzilla's dorsal plate that he will use as the head of the axe. Though for a short while, he may use the spike as a blade, ducking, dodging and slicing as he goes. This may be where he learns that using Godzilla against himself is the best course of action. But Godzilla's dorsal plates will have many properties, which will allow Kong to gain an advantage. Not only is it sharp, but it harnesses energy from the surrounding radiation and charges up, allowing Godzilla to use his signature atomic breath attack. This means that not only could it be used as a blade or an axe head, but it could also be a potential power source, allowing the shard to charge up and emit a devastating attack. It's from this that I believe it could sufficiently block Godzilla's oncoming atomic breath, and perhaps even deflect it back at him. This would even out the playing field as Godzilla doesn't have his go-to ranged attack. This theory is only reinforced by an official marketing image of the figures showing Kong blocking Godzilla's atomic breath using his axe. This could serve as a substitute for the electricity ability that Kong had in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla. Of course, that ability was extremely out of character and may very well never return in a Kong film. So using Godzilla's dorsal plates against Godzilla would make the most sense in terms of giving him a strong new ability, utilizing his intelligence and cunning over a completely new ability. Though obviously there are a few other questions being asked because of this. How does Kong just make an axe? That requires human levels of intelligence, a trait Kong traditionally doesn't show. Kong has been able to understand empathy, physical interactions, and is a problem solver, but has never crafted tools on the spot. Except that's not exactly true. In Kong Skull Island, he was able to recognize the properties the propeller from a wrecked ship had, which was that it was sharp and able to be used as a scythe-like weapon. He figured that out by observing the way it reacted to the environment, and then went on to use the chain to choke Remarek before slicing the throat of the large skullcrawler, which critically wounded the creature. So him building his very own weapon seems like a natural progression from what we've seen in Skull Island. The next question revolves around that extraordinarily giant handle. Where did he get it? What's it made of? From an initial observation, you may think it's a large tree, but on closer inspection, you'll find it's actually a bone. Specifically, a femur bone from some gigantic titan's leg. Now there's only one creature we know of that has leg bones this big, and that is Godzilla. But where on earth did he get this? Well, the answer lies in the opening of Godzilla 2014, where Serizawa explored Dagon's resting place, another member of Godzilla's species. Here, we have a well-preserved skeletal structure with a leg bone that could serve as the handle for Kong's new weapon. and this only furthers the theme of fighting fire with fire using Godzilla's species against himself. The bone, which would have immense strength and resistance to a minimum pressure of 100,000 tons, combined with the shard of Godzilla's dorsal plate, would make for a legendary weapon unlike any other. With Godzilla's bone able to resist the immense pressure of repeated use and the scorching heat of atomic breath, it makes for a perfect device to be used against the King of the Monsters. But as mentioned earlier, how on earth did a primate with the intelligence of Kong build a fully fledged weapon? Because if you look closely, it appears to be using a material similar to leather or a rope-like item. Well, there's a simple explanation. Kong is clearly intelligent, but in order to learn something new, he has to observe, much like a human child. On his native land of Skull Island, he lives in harmony alongside the Iwi people that respect the island and the natural food chain. By observing and watching the islanders hunting, he may get the idea to mimic them. By watching them use their primitive weapons, he may get the idea to use strips of branches to tie the shard with the bone, to make his new battle axe, which will turn the tide during Godzilla and Kong's second meeting. Why might he do this though? Well, since Godzilla is an indestructible god in comparison to Kong, his initial defeat will most likely force him to enter combat with a different mindset. If Kong can't defeat the King of the Monsters by himself, then he'll use Godzilla against himself, fighting fire with fire. Kong's punches will be no match for Godzilla's thick skin and ranged atomic breath, but by using a weapon made from parts of Godzilla's species, he has a chance to stand toe-to-toe with the King. If I can make a comparison to a show that I hold near and dear to me, Beast Wars, where Dinobot uses his wit to craft a hammer using whatever he can find, and he uses it to strike the much larger Megatron, which gives him the upper hand. It shows how intelligence can overcome brawn, and yes, I will continue to reference Beast Wars whenever I can, and no one can stop me. Deal with it. Kong's new weapon is certainly an interesting one, and it's going to be super fun to see the ways he uses it against our very own Godzilla, and how much damage it'll actually do. But before we leave, let's recap what we've learned. The head of the axe is made from Godzilla's dorsal plate and hosts a variety of powerful abilities because of it. The handle is made from a member of Godzilla's species, potentially Dagon, which will protect it from breaking under immense pressure, and Kong will be able to craft this weapon by observing natives on Skull Island hunting, which will show Kong's advanced learning capabilities, advancing his character. So that's Kong's new weapon. What do you think of it? Is it just too much of a different characteristic for Kong, or does it feel like a natural progression? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this theory explanation, because it helps us know what you want to see more of. Don't forget to subscribe to join hundreds of thousands of other residents in our lovely town of DangerVille to keep up to date on everything Godzilla, Kong, and dinosaur related. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.